Hello again, whiskey friends. Thanks for joining everybody for another Tuesday discussion. And what I'm going to start doing over the course of the rest of the year is doing a monthly bottle kill video. So this is going to be the first one for May. And what I'm going to highlight is 6 recent bottles that have been put to the grave and give the final thoughts on them. And if I'd buy them again, what I think of their price, all those type of reflections before I either throw them into the recycling bin or reuse them in some type of craft project, which I'll talk about at the end of this video. So thank you for joining me today, whiskey friends. Let's kick off the show. All right. Now, if you've been following the channel, you know that one of the goals for 2024 is no floor whiskey in my basement. Now, ultimately, I haven't stopped buying whiskey. That means I've got to put some bottles away for good. And the only way out of this problem for me isn't necessarily to drink them, it's to probably share them away in various ways. But I can still give the final thoughts on each of these. So I'm going to progress these 6 bottles up by price. And by the end of this, we're going to get into final thoughts on some hitters. So also let me know what you finished recently in the comments, and really interested to know what you do with bottles after you've killed them. Do they just end up in the recycling bin, or do you do something else with them? So let's kick this off with the first bottle here. Now, this was one of my sleeper hits of 2023, but the Copper and Kings bourbon, highly recommend this one if you can still find it. This thing has some older whiskey in this blend. It's going to surprise you. A lot of the times you find these type of releases are like 5-year-old MGP that were finished. This one has some double-digit whiskeys inside this blend, and Copper and Kings finished this in their apple brandy. Oh my gosh, this is one of my favorite finished whiskeys on the market right now, especially for the price, $65. I bought another one of these. This is something that I plan to keep on my shelf. I've also found that it goes really well in mixed drinks, particularly hot toddies when I'm not feeling too good. So keep an eye on this one. This one gets a recommend for me, and this will be a mainstay on my bar. The next one is another mainstay. This one comes in at $68. New release for 2024. I have actually finished 3 of these already because all of my guests love this thing. It tends to be a big hit at all the bottle shares I've gone to the last couple months. Can't recommend enough the New Riff 8-year for $68. I think this is the best thing that New Riff has released thus far. What I anticipate now, as long as they keep the price around the same, maybe $70, I want a cast strength pick of the 8-year. If they were to come out with that, I think that could be a potential dark horse for a whiskey of the year type thing for 2024. So New Riff, please release some cast strength, but also please get this around the country so everybody else can enjoy it. Keep an eye on this. This is supposed to be a core product for them. Next one on the list, not going to surprise everybody that I'm highlighting this brand, but this is a Hard Truth single barrel. This was one of our favorite pours of everything we had in 2023. We put this particular single barrel in a blind tournament against some other heavy hitters. And despite this thing only being 3 years old, continue to stick out in those blinds. I think it came 4th amongst the 16 favorite bottles we had in 2023 in our blind tournament. But these picks are really, really good. And we just keep promoting Hard Truth as much as we can. We absolutely love what they're doing. The fruit that you get on this particular rye whiskey has its own profile. Nothing else matches it. And we're going to keep talking about it as long as we like it. So check out Hard Truth. These run though, at the distillery, these were like $80, I want to say. 70, $80 for the single barrel rise. Some of the other varieties can get up a little higher at $95, but these single barrels that are the base rye sit there right around 70 to 80. So keep a lookout for these. You can always go on Hard Truth's website and see where things are distributed as well. Next up on the list, right around the same price point here, $80, very similar brand in a lot of ways to Hard Truth. But we've got Frey Ranch single barrels. Man, every time we get an alert on one of these that the online retailers have them, like Seelbach or even their own website, my wife will hunt these down. This is actually my wife's favorite bourbon. I've probably drinking about 10% of each Frey Ranch bottle that we have. She drinks the rest. I have to pick my punches here, otherwise I get in trouble when I'm drinking the Frey Ranch. But what sticks out from this one is that they do the whole grain to glass kind of a thing. And that freshness of the ingredients and the quality of the ingredients shine in this whiskey. I absolutely adore these bourbons. I've had so many hitters. I think the main note that comes out, if this excites you, it's got a floral note to it that can be a turn on or something that really distinguishes it. So take that as you will. But once again, another brand that I continually keep on the shelf here at home. Next one on the list, man, I'm just going through a bunch of our favorites of the channel here. This one is the K. Luke Batch 4. Womp womp. This one's empty. I got to compare this one to the Batch 8. We just recently had the owner of K. Luke on the channel on a live stream. You can go and check that video out. Great conversation. Amazing to hear his process. Really goes through an extraneous process to make sure these batches stick out. I'd imagine that he does something that we would do as well if we were ever in the position he was in. He's like blinding these against all the other batches that he creates to try to find which one to elevate. And the Batch 4 compared to the Batch 8, completely different flavor profile. Just to speculate a little bit, but this one ranges more towards older Four Roses kind of a blend, whereas Batch 8 had a lot of the MGP in it. All speculation on my part, but man, did I love both of these batches. They really, really stuck out. Now, these cost $120, so I'm going to pick my punches when it comes to these batches, depending on what I hear. But we did get samples of Batch 8, and I had to buy it after that sample. That is going to be in our end-of-year tournament. I can already see it. So keep an eye out for K. Luke Batch 8. Batch 4, if you happen to find it on the shelves, really big hitter. And if you're curious about the other batches, you're going to have to go find a video on our channel. Darrell blinded all the batches that he had, and he can give you a bit more information on the other numbers, but they are all different and unique. So that's just going to be a cool thing. Exploring K. Luke is going to be how unique each of these batches are. All right, last one here, going to be the most expensive. Getting into an Old Carter American whiskey. This one was Batch 10. This one is all gone now. Now, these are interesting here. So with the Old Carter, I think the American whiskey is probably my favorite expression of the three, though I have had some absolute hitters in the rise, but the price is going to be the stickler, and it has gone up over time. You know, initially it was $200. I want to say it's either $230. It might have gone all the way up to $250. I don't know. I'm going to have to wait on this one. This one's a wait and see for me on the batches. I'll wait for somebody else to give me a firm recommendation on a batch before I jump in. Of course, if I wait that long, I'm probably going to miss out anyway because they do move relatively quickly. But with these, you know, these are primarily light whiskeys. Maybe it's a blend of light whiskeys and some bourbons, which gives it that darker profile than a typical light whiskey. But when you can get light whiskeys, gosh, we'll talk about that later. But I got some light whiskey from Nerds and Turds that was $47 finished in cab from Bull Run, 16 years, $47. So that's the thing I'm comparing it to in my mind when then I have Old Carter for 230. So sometimes it's the brand versus the blending process. I mean, you're paying for all those things, but the competitors on the market are pretty competitive right now with light whiskey. Mainly if you're looking at Bull Run, if you're looking at Obtainium. I mean, even if you go up to the Penelope, 14 year that just came out, that one's like 120. So going all the way up to 230, it's gotta be a banger batch for me to invest in it. So on this one, skeptical but open to still buying some Old Carters. It's just going to be batch dependent. So that is 6 whiskeys that we have killed here. Gosh, just in the last month. Gotta keep making space. No floor whiskey in 2024. Now, when I'm done with these bottles, essentially what I do with them is I'll either going to turn them into candles, or I'll send them to Top Dog and might turn them into a lamp, or I use them for olive oil because I infuse my own olive oil. So that's how I use these bottles. Once again, interested in the comments what you do with your bottle kills when they're all said and done. So thank you for joining me today, whiskey friends. If you like this format, let me know. Plan to do this again next month and maybe the month thereafter. To keep ahead of this goal, we're going to have to keep killing those bottles. Well, thank you, everybody. We'll catch you on the next one. Goodbye, everybody.